Hi, yeah, I don't know. I'm doing a video that Jen asked me to do about the role of poetry in my life, and like my lifelong love of poetry. So yes, I've been reading poetry for a really long time, and it's kind of been a part of my life forever. Because when I was younger, we didn't really have a TV in the house, so my parents would either read stories or poetry to us before we went to sleep or at like naps or whatever. And that was just kind of a thing that we did. So that was kind of like the beginning of it. And that kind of just stuck with me. I there's a little bit of a period that I didn't really read poetry, but that was just during middle school, and we all know what middle school is like. But yeah, I think that Robert Louis Stevenson is the main reason, like, for my love of poetry, because he, we had this book, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a book of poems that he wrote for, children, and all of them there's a bunch of different ones in it, but, the ones that I really enjoyed were ones about, that, like, essentially is just a young Robert Louis Stevenson like playing in his backyard, which is what the majority of like my day looked like when I was 6 or 7, which is when I was reading most of the poems in that book. So yeah, he was kind of the beginning of my poetry life, life of poetry, and so yeah, I think that if you haven't read any of his children's poetry, there's a lot of really really good ones that he's written, and I would look them up. But yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of poetry was kind of like something that we would just do at home. It was, I don't know, we would read it, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of a hard question to answer. Mostly just because I can like tell stories about what kind of poetry like stuff we did, but it's not as much like this is exactly how it affected me, and this is exactly, you know what I mean. But yeah, so I don't really know if this answered your really did a good job of answering your question, and I can probably write a paragraph if you want me to. But yeah, there you go.